So if that's right, if my prediction before was right, that the Republicans, the politicians, certain people who are in wealthy positions who make money off of missiles and sending weapons to other countries, these people who are, think they got the system rigged in a certain way to profit themselves. If this is just a smokescreen, this abortion problem where they're trying to take away women's rights once again, if they're only trying to take away women's rights so that we just fight on that subject and we don't fight on all these other issues, if it's just a smokescreen to take our attention and divide us, because some people will be for the left, some people will be for the right, some people will want abortion, some people won't, because that has religious connotations in it. That comes under a lot of religious reasons. That's like banning baptism and saying that holding a child's head underwater is abuse. If the government decided that holding a child's head underwater or holding a child's head in water was abuse, a lot of the priests would have to use their hands in a cross motion. But there would be a lot of people very upset, and it would cause a big divide in the country. And then we all are fighting on that subject, and we're not fighting on wages, health care, government corruption, the lobbying, corruption in our government officials literally getting money from corporations like Raytheon. Like, for instance, can our military really make a good decision if they're getting money, personal money in their bank account where war makes them more money? Like, if we have to make more missiles, if a politician makes more money off that, are they going to vote against it? That seems like a conflict of interest. So there's a lot of work to be done here. Wages have wealth inequality is out of control. People are getting poisoned. The laws that we already was working in the 1960s, 1970s have now been eroded, destroyed, or loopholed all over. I mean, we got laws from the 1800s overriding laws from 1980. We got all these twists and turns. The judges and the politicians on the right are also deciding to destroy everything that we hold dear in our government. The whole illusion has been broken, and they don't want us fixing it. So they're going to keep us divided, arguing about abortion. That's the idea. The Republicans are going to really, really, really push this abortion, but my prediction is they're going to give it up. As soon as they have what they want is us in a corner, not paying attention to wealth inequality anymore, not paying attention to the lobbyists, not paying attention to all the corruption in our politicians, not paying attention to our president acting stupid. Once when that is no longer a thing, then they'll give it up and they'll give the women their rights back. But this is what they do. The Republicans and the Democrats both do this tactic. If there's something really, really the matter that needs to be fixed, and people are starting to get together and try to fix it, but this one side doesn't want it fixed. Like the Republicans don't want to give the rich people's money, to the programs. They want to give more tax breaks to the wealthy 1%, and they want the people at the bottom to pay more. But now the people at the bottom are literally have nothing. We can't even eat food anymore. We can't have clean water. I mean, for instance, in my apartment right now, after working 40 hours a week, I don't get any water out of my faucet. I get sewage out of my faucet. I don't have any money for food. I get no more food stamps in this state. There is no way to get food on that budget. And our heating bill has been turned off several times. And this was working a 40-hour a week essential service job. I literally run a gas station, an essential service by myself, and I get above minimum wage, and it still does not even make the rent for this cheapest apartment in Rochester. This is very, very cheap, very, very cheap for the town I live in. And this is a cheap town to begin with. And literally minimum wage would never cut it. And I'm getting what, $2, $1 above minimum wage, and it's still not cutting it. So this is a big problem. But you got healthcare problems. I have been made crippled. I have lots of organ failures. I got letters saying that my meds were poisoned with steel shards. I was given full bottles of Ipecac by an adopted parent. I was taken away from my mother as a child. I was given double doses of medication. I literally was trafficked to Texas, New Mexico, all over to cover up my mother's crimes. There's all this terrible stuff. They gave Social Security to the wealthy family, but the kid who actually needs it, who's an adult now, he doesn't get any Social Security. I mean, these are how the system is designed. They don't want us getting together and fixing these problems, fixing the healthcare, fixing Social Security, fixing the wealth inequality, because that would cost less money going to the military. It would cause the wealthy 1% to pay more in taxes, and it would have to require us at the bottom paying less in taxes. So the people at the bottom would have to pay less, the people in the middle would have to pay less, and the people at the top would have to pay more. But the people at the top are the people that run this country. They are the people that literally the country goes begging for money. Like, did you know in the 1920s, I think it was, I'm pretty sure it was either 1890 to 1920, the federal government ran out of money in the Federal Reserve, and they had to beg some of the rich people that were putting children to work in this country. These are the people who ran the oil companies in the canteen. This is the Rockefellers. They had to ask them to borrow money because the Rockefellers and these rich businessmen in America own more money than the whole government combined of the United States, because they designed a system which one person can take advantage of all the poor people around him. So all the orphans born back then at the age of like 7 years old would be losing fingers, arms. They'd be dying before they were 11 years old in these oil manufacturing companies. That's why this child labor was outlawed, because the wealthy individuals will always use the orphans from the poor families as labor, because they can do whatever they want and there's no protections under the law. It was never black people, white people. It was always poor people and rich people. When the Irish came to America, we were white, but we were poor white. So the rich British white didn't like us because we were poor. It never has anything to do with the color of your skin. It never has anything to do with your religion. It has to do with them having money and them wanting to keep it. And you're not having money and they want to use you. That's it. That's all this race slavery, all this. There was white people enslaving other white people in Europe. There was Greeks enslaving other white people. There was Italians enslaving other white people. Whites have been enslaving whites. Slavery is one wealthy person putting a poor person to work for life. That's it. Not giving him a chance to get wealthy. Hey, we don't want this wealthy person. We don't want this poor person to become wealthy, because then maybe he might have to take some of our wealth. So let's keep him a slave and make us more wealthy. Let's use this person's work to make myself more wealthy. Even though all that hard work that this guy is doing, he could build his own wealth. Well, we don't want that. We don't want orphans working hard and working themselves up. No, we try to cripple them at 5 years old with drugs like Thorazine. We try to make sure that we fuck them up good before they ever have a chance. Like Angly Beth, who came to this country and was fucked up before 10 years old. Then the pharmaceutical companies and the psychiatrists fucked her up more. Why? Because she was come from a poor family in another country. How about me? I was fucked up in the same way. How about Jasmine? She was an orphan who went into foster care. Yep, fucked up later in life, only mildly. She made some bad choices too. But Angly Beth, she never made a bad choice. She was innocent. She never did any drugs. She never hurt anybody. She became suicidal after they did all this stuff to her. But of course, this is fucked up shit. So keep that in mind. This was never about enslaving the blacks or about race or racism, or they talk about Irish need not apply. It was about making sure the Irish didn't get wealth. It had nothing to do with Irish people being racist against Irish people. Other people being racist against Irish people. It was because we were newcomers. We were poor. We weren't rich yet. Once when we became police officers, once when the Irish became the police, that's when we got our rights, because, oh, no, now we can't fuck them over no more. You can't enslave a police officer. No, you can't, because he's already been enslaved by the government. But it worked out a lot for the Irish people to join the police force and the government. That was a very good way to do it. You know, the rich people in America want to enslave you, join the government. Then they can't use you. But see, me, I was born poor and I never got a chance. They're getting us at 5 years old, 6 years old, 7 years old, 8 years old, 10 years old. Every rich industry is trying to take advantage of the poor children. But if you come from a rich family, like for instance, if you have a kid like the guy who drove me home, that kid's on Social Security just for anxiety. How did he get it? He comes from a good family. His father hired an attorney. Well, the government doesn't like fighting those cases. If you hire a good attorney and this is your first Social Security case and it's just based off anxiety and mental illnesses, you will get it because you come from a good family, you've paid for an expensive attorney, and the government doesn't want to spend a lot of money fighting you. So after they harass you a lot, they give it to you if your child is disabled or not. But if you come from a poor family and you cannot hire an attorney, they will deny you for 10 years straight and make sure you suffer great because they know they can take advantage. They know that you come from a poor family and you can't fight back. But these wealthy families, they get Social Security like nothing. It's really quick, really easy for them because they can afford expensive attorneys. They also have a lot of money to throw around, a lot of transportation, they have it a lot easier to try to go and get this. And so the government doesn't even fight back. They don't want to waste the money fighting it. But then you got poor people who actually need it and get denied, or they never get it. I see people with diabetes missing toes waiting 3 years for their Social Security, working a job, falling down. Then they chop off his leg and he can't go back to work, but he's talking like he wants to come back to work because he has no Social Security to pay his bills. He's going to lose his apartment. God damn, that's my situation too. This was when I worked at Walgreens years ago. This was years ago. This was in like 2010. I was observing this other guy. This is bad shit. This has been going on for a long time. And now we're supposed to argue about abortion rights. Just let the women make their choices. Let the women have their rights. But see, the Republicans know if they take away women's rights, then they can divide us. And nothing will get done except for we will get the right for the women back. But then everything's back to the same again. See what the Republicans are doing? They'll take one thing that was fixed 20, 30 years ago, break it apart. So we argue and fight about that, like abortion rights. We get abortion rights back for the women, but we've not fixed anything. We're back where we were in the 80s. We're worse than that because they've destroyed so much since the 80s. So all we do is get the women's rights back, what we need to get back, but all this other stuff gets forgotten. And that's what I predict. We're going to get women's rights back, but everybody's going to forget about the bigger problems here.